3 a.m., the shocking prayer against fear that haunts you until dawn. The clock struck 3. The kind of 3 that wrapped itself around the dark like an eerie shroud. In a small, cluttered room, Samantha sat frozen, her fingers trembling over the keys of her laptop. She had heard the whispers, the ghostly murmurs of those who attempted the ancient prayer at this haunted hour. Everyone said it was just a story. Just urban folklore. But what if it wasn't? What if tonight was the night she'd discover the truth? As shadows flickered along the walls, every sound sharpened, every creak of her floorboards echoed like a warning bell. The whispers promised clarity, or madness, but it wasn't just the tales that unnerved her. It was what lay just beyond her bedroom door, the strange tapping that had begun earlier that evening. It started soft, like raindrops on a window sill, but morphed into a persistent knock that sent shivers racing down her spine. The locals spoke of lost souls seeking solace, a ritual gone wrong. Was it all just superstition? Or was there really something lurking in the darkness, searching for a voice, the voice of those who dared to pray? Samantha's heart raced, each beat pounding in her ears like a war drum. She had to know. It was either going to be a night of revelation or a descent into chaos. As she leaned closer to the screen, the warmth of her room felt like a lie. The darkness beyond that door stretched, inviting and threatening. Each second felt like an eternity. A part of her knew she should back away, but another part craved the thrill of daring into the unknown. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the words hung in the air, the tapped rhythm at her door shifted. It quickened, a hesitant pitter-patter turned wild. Samantha clutched her laptop tighter, her breath catching like a fly in a spider's web. The door quivered slightly, like it was breathing, drawing in a chill that made her blood run cold. Was she truly alone? Or had the prayer summoned something she couldn't see? The very thought gripped her heart like a vice. What would happen if she spoke the words aloud? Would fear become a friend or a foe? The murmurs grew louder, almost musical, enticing in an unsettling way. They called to her, an unholy song beckoning from beyond the realm of reason. Would she dare embrace them? A flicker of light caught her eye, a shadow passing beneath the doorframe. She inched closer, her heart hammering like thunder. What lingered there? And just like that, at 3 a.m., lost between reality and myth, the essence of fear tightened its grip. Would she find the courage to uncover the truth, or would it drown her? The night had only just begun. The tapping escalated, each thud resonating like hammer strikes against her sanity. Samantha's breath quickened, dread crept in and wrapped around her throat. It was almost as if the very air in her room thickened, becoming stifling and saturated with dark potential. Should she get up and open the door? Or would that only invite whatever waited outside to slither in? No, she whispered sharply, willing her fingers to type, to fend off the encroaching shadows. She could feel the urgent pull of the prayer at the back of her mind, begging her to just say it, to cut through the clamor with a force more ancient than fear itself. Samantha shook her head, strands of hair falling in front of her face as she leaned closer to the screen. Surely, there was bravery in curiosity. But could recklessness banish whatever lurked just on the other side of her door? Was it merely a figment of her wanton imagination craving something dangerous to stir adrenaline? With a sudden rush, she stared straight at the shadows spilling through the slight crack beneath the door, the flickering dance of darkness framing something malignant that wanted in. Peering closer revealed no form, just an oppressive blackness that seemed to beckon for her touch. The whispers rose in crescendo, they demanded her attention, no longer content with mere contemplation. Do it, Samantha. The invitation echoed in her mind like the wind through the trees, an almost sweet undertone intertwined with chilling clarity. It was a call to action, a solemn vow punctuated by the uncertainty of what awaited her. The tapping stopped. For a fleeting moment, the world outside her door quieted. The absence of sound hung heavy, a taut string about to snap. Samantha's heart raced. Sweat beaded upon her brow. She felt like a moth drawn toward a flame, her instincts wrested away by an unseen force. Then a soft, deep voice shattered the silence. "Don't ignore me. I need your help." Her breath caught in her throat. She recognized the voice was not her own. It was dark and brittle, an echo from the void that resonated deep within her chest. Panic flared, but curiosity clawed for release. "Help?" she repeated, voice vibrating with tension. "Help with what?" "You opened the door," it hissed softly, biting against her own thoughts. "Now you need to take the leap. Say the prayer. Believe. And you'll set me free." The weight of its words sank into her, mingling with salty dread. It was all so insane, yet she felt herself teetering on the brink of understanding. What if all the nightmares she feared were just gateways to knowledge? She inhaled sharply, yearning for that rush of clarity. Mustering her courage, she stammered, I can't just say it." "What are you?" The shadows stirred again, flickering dangerously, almost angry at her hesitation. "Say it. You have no idea the truth you're about to unlock. Fear isn't all it seems." Silence enveloped her once more. The streetlights cast a dim glow outside her window, each flicker illuminating the surreal landscape of her mind. She longed to stand firm, steeped in bravery, but she was paralyzed by doubt. Should she embrace what lay before her, or turn away before it engulfed her? Just then, the door rattled violently as a loud bang echoed through the room. It felt as if a storm had hit, shaking her from head to toe, yanking her back to the moment. Samantha fought against the tide of panic surging through her. "Will you say it?" The darkness pressed, an urgent whisper demanding urgency. The choice lay before her. Knowledge or avoidance? She held her breath, heart racing, but just before she could command herself to begin, her phone buzzed violently against the desk. It lit up, revealing a name that sent a chill deeper than any cold breeze. Her mother's name. What had she stumbled into? Was it truly too late to turn back? The question burned in her mind as the shadows pressed close, hunger pulsating from the other side of the door. What awaited her if she let the prayer slip from her lips? The phone stopped buzzing, but the name lingered in the air like a specter. Samantha's heart dropped. It felt like an anchor, dragging her deeper into the tumultuous sea of confusion and terror. Her mother's name was a lifeline she dared not grasp, yet her fingers twitched as if caught in a web, trapped between dread and responsibility. With the darkness swirling around her like a tempest, panic gripped her tighter. "Mom," she called, her voice too small to bridge the distance between her and the unknown lurking close. "Pick it up, Samantha," echoed the shadow, somehow both encouraging and sinister. "You tread a dangerous path, and your choice is just the beginning." She hesitated. The words hung in the air. Did she dare speak them? A mounting urgency compelled her. What if this voice, this darkness, was a warning? Or worse, a trap laid to ensnare her in an eternal cycle of fear? Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, this time vibrating off the desk and sliding towards her feet. She snatched it up, the screen illuminating her face in a stark glow. The text message blinked at her. "Samantha, it's happening again. Come home." Her breath hitched. Memories flooded in unbidden, her mother's pleading eyes when she'd last seen her. "I don't want you to face this alone," her mother had said. "You don't know what we're fighting against." Those words had churned in her mind ever since, an echo of familial love mixed with paralyzing fear. "Your mother needs you," the voice hissed, its presence palpable as shadows loomed closer. "Will you ignore that? Or will you join me in freedom?" Torn between familial duty and impending doom, Samantha felt a ball of ice form in her stomach. Each second felt stretched and taut, the atmosphere crackling with anticipation. If she opened the door now, if she called her mother and jumped into the depths of whatever awaited her, it could mean unleashing a truth that may trap her family in darkness forever. Think, she muttered to herself, breathe. Blood rushed in her ears, and she could hardly stand still. The tapping on her door returned, rhythmic and deliberate, a countdown to the moment she would either choose light or succumb to the shadows. Say it. The voice begged, its tone shifting, growing darker and rawer. The prayer that binds us. Set me free, and you may yet save your mother. It was like a ticking bomb, driving her to the brink of insanity. A thought crossed her mind, one that terrified her more than the unknown. If she turned away now, what terrible price would she pay? Would her mother fall prey to the same forces haunting her? Stop! She shouted, surprising even herself. Stop! I want to listen to you. The darkness recoiled, the shadows flickering momentarily. There was silence. For a heartbeat, the room felt still. Then, all at once, a rustling sound erupted outside her window, like the sound of whispered voices carried on the wind, pulling her attention away from the door and toward the sinister night beyond. Are you really ready to face what's out there, Samantha? The voice asked, now almost soothing, creaking with false comfort. Will you choose fear or strength? She glanced at the window, where branches scratched against the glass like claws. The world beyond was darker than before, stretched thin by an unseen force trying to penetrate her sanctuary. More than anything, she murmured, steadying her breath. But what if I turn away? What if I can't go back? A sudden wind whipped through the room, and the light flickered as a voice, softer but imbued with authority, whispered, then, you're already too late. Samantha's heart thundered in her chest. What was the truth that lay beyond the door? A sacrifice? A revelation? She couldn't retreat now. But as the shadow pressed in, thickening the air and mingling with her thoughts, she realized she might be running out of time to decide, would the next moment bring light or plunge her deeper into this nightmare? Her thoughts swirled as she reached for the doorknob, fear battling the gnawing desperation. As she turned it, the door creaked open slowly, revealing a darkness that felt alive. What had she unleashed? What essence had she disturbed in her quest for answers? The door opened with a languid groan, and Samantha was met with a void that seemed to swallow all light. She stepped forward, her heart pounding as shadows danced like fireflies in the blackness. She felt the cool air rush over her skin, chilling her bones, pulling her deeper into the unknown. Welcome, Samantha, the voice purred, now somehow more tangible, threading through the darkness. It felt like it wrapped around her, tightening ever so slightly, encouraging her to keep moving toward a fate she couldn't understand. The room felt hollow, expansive, as if the walls melted into the night itself. She looked back only for a flicker of a moment, feeling the old sanctuary of her home dissolve behind her. The path forward was steeped in obscurity, a gaping abyss inviting her with sinister whispers of secrets half-formed. Mom! She called, desperation clawing at her throat. She needed to grasp something solid, some kind of answer. The shadows shifted in response, swirling like thick smoke at her feet, drawing her further into their embrace. They can't hear you here, the voice hissed, tinged with mockery. But I can. I am your anchor in these shadows. Speak the prayer, it will guide you. What prayer? What do you want from me? She shouted into the darkness, her voice trembling. The air felt pregnant with anticipation, and silence settled around her like a heavy blanket, suffocating yet electrifying. For your mother, for the truth, for hope, the darkness cooed. The words lie in your heart, waiting to be unleashed. Speak them, and your path will be clear. Her mind raced. What could that prayer be? There was a sacred warmth in her memories with her mother, a time before all this fear, before the night terrors and the whispers. Pounded by uncertainty, she gripped her temples and squeezed her eyes shut, searching her thoughts. Freedom from fear, the voice rasped, gliding across her senses. That's all it takes. Just say it. Samantha shook her head, casting away the rising tide of hopelessness. All around her, the shadows pulsed like a living entity, curling closer. There was a choice looming in the depths of her heart, a choice laden with weight and consequence, but like a jolt of electricity, her love for her mother surged through her. She wouldn't abandon her. She blinked hard, her resolve igniting like a spark in the tumult. No. I want to be your pawn, and I want to play your game. She declared, her voice resonating with newfound strength. In response, the shadows twisted violently, roaring with a rage that seemed to shake the very air. The gust of wind escalated, tearing through the room, flinging possessions across the space like confetti in a storm. Samantha stumbled, fighting to regain her footing, her heart thundering more than before. Foolish girl. The voice thundered, weaving through the chaos. You think you can defy what was birthed in darkness? You don't understand what you're up against. The words hung heavy, laced with a bitterness that rattled her. Samantha steadied herself, her breathing quickening. In that moment of turmoil, amid the cacophony of shrieks and howls, a thought sliced through the fog of fear: was her mother still fighting against this same darkness? Would she even know what was truly at stake? With a surge of determination, she forged ahead and called out again. I choose my path. I want to let you control me. And just as the shadows lunged, wild and frenzied, something within her awakened a fierce light that began to radiate from her, illuminating the swirling storm around her. The shadows shrieked in fury, recoiling at the unexpected beam of radiant clarity, but the light sparked the surface of something deeper, something ancient and hungry lurking in the corners of her awareness, filling the atmosphere with a dull ache of dread. What had she unleashed? As the walls trembled and shadows coiled in fear of her glimmering aura, she found herself at the precipice of choice once more, a beacon against encroaching darkness. But what if the truth she sought was far more sinister than she could imagine? Just as the light flickered, daring to unleash the answers, a piercing scream echoed from beyond the shadows: Samantha! The world around her began to swirl and contort, and she realized she was no longer just battling for herself. Could she save her mother before it was too late? The piercing scream reverberated through Samantha's bones, wrapping around her like a cold hand. It was her mother's voice, clawing its way out of the void. Panic surged through her, igniting a fury in her chest that drowned out the chaos swirling around her. Mom! She cried again, louder this time, her voice breaking through the chaotic storm of shadows. Each shriek only fueled the fire in her heart, propelling her forward. The light she had conjured flickered, battling against the darkness, but she realized it needed more than just her will. It needed her love. In an act of desperation, she focused on the memories, the laughs, the warm embraces, the wisdom passed down. Please! She shouted into the heart of the shadows. I will fight. I will find you. The darkness around her thickened, swelling like a monstrous entity, almost trying to swallow her light whole. But instead of retreating, she stepped closer to the epicenter of the chaos, her heart racing in sync with the pulsing energy. Just tell me what to do. She pleaded, her voice trembling with urgency. Suddenly, an oppressive weight fell on her shoulders, and the shadows whispered cruelly. You seek to find the light, but how do you fight what you cannot see? You are here because of her, because she made a choice. A flicker of doubt pricked her resolve, but she shoved it aside. No. My mother would never choose this. She would fight. As if responding to her defiance, the shadows thrashed violently. The air shimmered with electricity, crackling ominously, and the fierce winds roared louder, becoming a primal entity. The more she stood firm, the more chaotic the tempest became. Choice is a double-edged sword, the voice hissed, formerly mocking but now laced with a new intensity. In her fight for you, she may have doomed you both. Samantha's breath hitched at the revelation. Fear twisted in her stomach as understanding dawned on her. Had her mother willingly entered this abyss to save her? Had she sacrificed everything, everything Samantha had ever known? Stop! She shouted against the dark waves crashing around her. She didn't have to suffer. She didn't need to throw herself into this. The shadows seemed to hesitate, faltering for a moment. A flicker of light danced in her heart. The idea struck like a pin, fierce and illuminating. Her mother's spirit was still fighting. Tell me how. If she sacrificed for me to survive, I'll fight alongside her. Samantha's voice rang through the shadows as she took a step further into the storm, defiance igniting the very air she breathed. In response, the shadows roared, and the wind gusted once more, swirling around her in chaotic bursts. Samantha felt something shift beneath her feet, a ripple echoing like a siren call urging her deeper. But in that moment of clarity, a familiar warmth touched her skin, a whisper wrapped in reassurances. You are more powerful than you know, Samantha. Dare to embrace the truth, and the shadows will weaken. Strength surged through her limbs. She clenched her fists, her light pulsating brighter, casting flickering beams into the inky darkness. I am not afraid. I choose love. With each word, spectral figures began to materialize, their desperate faces twisted in turmoil. Help us! They cried, a chorus of agony. The realization shattered Samantha's heart. She was not just battling for her mother. She was opening a door to countless souls trapped in the abyss. No. This can't be real. She gasped, the sensation almost suffocating. She had to reach her mother, to harness this newfound power, and then, from the depths, a figure emerged, a glimmering silhouette twisted with tears and fear. It was her mother, battling through the shadows, reaching for her with eyes overflowing with determination. Yet before they could cross the gap, a thunderous roar exploded, shaking the very foundations of the abyss. The shadows tensed, rage boiling. Foolish girl! They screamed, now rising in a terrifying chorus. You will not take her from us. Samantha's heart raced as dread clawed at her throat. The battle was only beginning, and the truth felt closer yet so far away. Would she and her mother unite in strength, or would the darkness consume them both? The shadows lunged, closing in with ferocity. A fight was ignited, but at what cost? Would love and light be enough to break the chains of this eternal darkness? The shadows surged forward, a swirling mass of despair and rage intent on consuming everything in their path. Samantha's heartbeat matched the frantic rhythm of the tempest as she raised her hands, letting her love transform into an illuminating shield. The spectral figures around her screamed louder, voices filled with anguish, desperation clawing at her senses. Mom! She shouted, eyes locked on the beautiful silhouette moving through the dark, her heart pulling her closer. Hold on. I'm coming. The shadows whipped at her, dragging her down, trying to snuff out her light. Samantha felt the icy tendrils grip her wrists, tugging her toward the void. She gritted her teeth, her breath sharp and panicked. No. You will not take me. With sheer will, she dove deeper into the storm, focusing on the warmth of her mother's love, the way it enveloped her like a blanket on cold nights. Strong and unwavering, she steadied her voice. I choose love. I choose to fight. Her words ignited a spark within her core, and for a moment, the shadows recoiled, their grasp hesitating like a predator caught off guard. The spectral figures shifted, darting around her, their faces now mirrors of hope, begging her to guide them to freedom. The abyss felt less suffocating, shifting in response to her defiance, but there was no time to waste. Mom, we need to break through together. She called out, her voice rising above the chaos, the currents meeting her call with a surprising calmness. In that instant, her mother's face turned toward her, eyes shimmering with a haunting beauty. Samantha. Her voice cut through the turbulence like a warm light breaking dawn. You must remember our love is our power. Fists clenched, Samantha summoned every vibrant memory, a childhood laugh, the scent of home-cooked meals, evenings spent reading stories under a quilt. They surged within her, each heartbeat carrying undeniable strength as her luminous energy erupted into blinding waves. Together. She cried out, reaching her arms wide to pull her mother closer. The shadows shrieked, a cacophony of pure hatred swirling around them. You cannot save her. She belongs to us. Samantha felt the temperatures drop further, piercing into her skin, but she pushed through. She could feel her mother's spirit entwine with her own, amplifying the light. I refuse to let you take her. We will fight for every soul you've imprisoned. Like a dam bursting, the air swelled around them, the solid barrier of shadows fracturing beneath the brilliance of their combined strength. Tendrils fell away, retreating, as the light poured forth, revealing glimpses of the tormented souls surrounding her. But just as victory seemed within reach, a familiar presence loomed larger than before. Foolish girl. A voice bellowed, louder than anything she had ever felt. The darkness solidified, forming a figure more terrifying than she could fathom, its face a twisted reflection of everything Samantha feared. You think this strength will save you? I am the darkness within. The ground trembled, and the shadows gathered, forming into a whirling storm around her. The palpable dread threw Samantha off balance, causing her light to flicker. What do you want? She screamed, fear now sinking its claws deep within her heart. I want you to see you are just as lost as them. Heart racing, she realized. They were right. She was torn, a war waged between her hope and doubt, her desire to save both her mother and these lost souls. What if she failed them? No. She shouted, pushing back against the oncoming wave of despair. You don't control me. I choose my own path. The shadows lunged again, more ferocious than ever. But deep within, Samantha could feel the tide shift. With every ounce of strength, she reached for her light and her mother, uniting their hearts, ready to face the darkness together. Would they stand united against it, or would the shadows swallow the flicker of hope she had ignited? As power surged through them, a formidable charge crackled in the air, letting her know the final confrontation was looming. How much darker would the abyss grow before they could break free? The moment had come, yet she still couldn't see the end. The shadows roared, a monstrous wave that threatened to pull them into its depths. Samantha felt the warmth of her mother's spirit next to her, a guiding light in the chaos, but the darkness clawed at them relentlessly. The voice of despair rang in her ears, a maddening echo that wove through her memories, amplifying her crushing doubt. Don't let them take you, her mother urged, her voice now softer, yet filled with urgency. Focus on our love. It's stronger than this darkness. Samantha's breath caught in her throat. She had battled insecurities and fear all her life, now they manifested directly before her, taking form in the dreadful entity looming ahead. It flickered and twisted, its shadowy features contorting into the faces of those she feared most, family, friends, even herself, distorted by failure. In each face, the dark voice whispered, "You won't when you can't escape." Determination surged within her. No. She shouted, her voice slicing through the deceptive sounds of agony. You won't win. With a fierce shout, she reached for her heart, pulling every memory into the light, a child's laugh, a faithful promise, the scent of sunflowers in summer. As she formed the light between their clasped hands, the dark figure shrank back, its twisted visage momentarily replaced by horror. What is this? You dare to challenge me? I dare, she replied, her voice steady as steel. We are not afraid of you. You only hold power if we let you. Beneath her feet, the ground pulsed with energy, responding to her defiance. The light grew, it enveloped her and her mother, pushing back against the encroaching shadows. More souls emerged from the darkness around them, flickering lights flickering on as they saw the newfound hope, encouragement sparking within their hollow eyes. As they joined their strength with Samantha and her mother, the dark figure grew furious, thrashing and howling as if trying to uproot their resolve. Foolish girl. You're gathering doomed souls that will only fall again. I will claim you all. Not if we fight. Samantha screamed. Tension wove through her limbs, igniting every crack in her spirit, every doubt, every memory of loneliness and despair. She poured it all into the light, transforming their pain into a dazzling burst of energy. The collision of dark and light sent shockwaves through the air, a desperate battle raging within her soul. With every ounce of her strength, Samantha channeled her love into that incandescent shield. The shadows shrieked. The air crackled, shimmering as primitive instincts flared. Fear, doubt, and angry rage met the soothing warmth of loving unity, but just when they thought they might turn the tide for good, another roar erupted from the void. You think you've won? You're nothing but a flicker. I will not let you extinguish this darkness. Suddenly, the ground erupted beneath them, cracks spiraling outward as if the very fabric of reality was being torn apart. Samantha stumbled, her hold on the brilliance wavering. Mom! She gasped, the shadows lunging toward her, threatening to shatter their fragile connection. Her heart raced, panic consuming her. Would they falter at the last moment? Samantha plunged deeper into her memories. We can do this. We have to. But then she felt it, the ever-growing presence of despair wrapping tighter around her heart, squeezing away her resolve. In this moment, would she become trapped in this darkness forever? The abyss beckoned, promising solace in surrender, but something deep inside her resisted. We won't give in. Samantha cried, a primal roar erupting from her chest. Would they truly succumb, or would their light pierce through? The swirling mass of shadows surged forward once more, but this time with desperation. What would Samantha have the courage to do? Did she possess the strength to transform her fear into light, or would the darkness drown out her final chance? A flicker. A heartbeat. They were running out of time. The ground shook violently, splintering under the weight of titanic forces. A deep rumble echoed through the air, vibrating in Samantha's chest. She steadied herself against the rising tide of shadows, heart thundering as panic flickered behind her eyes. Mom! Her voice came out breathless, like a frayed thread in a storm. Her mother tightened her grip, a reassuring anchor amidst the chaos. Focus, Samantha. Your memories are the beacon. You have to keep them alive. The shadows hissed, a sinister sound wrapping around them like a shroud. They seemed to writhe and dance, mocking her resolve. The faces twisted in front of her, each one a reminder of despair, every whispered taunt cutting deeper than the last. You'll never break free, they snarled, melding into one relentless voice. No. Samantha screamed, thrusting her free hand forward. With every ounce of defiance pouring from her heart, she forced her memories into the light, her mother's laughter, warm hugs after a long day, sweet promises whispered before bedtime. Each memory ignited the growing light, transforming it into a dazzling orb that pushed back against the shadows. The figure in the darkness recoiled, its monstrous form contorting. No. You think those pathetic memories can save you? Its voice cracked, blaring with rage and desperation as the darkness clawed for foothold. But they will. Samantha shouted, her voice defiant. Our love is stronger. Love burns brighter than any shadow. The orb of light pulsed, fighting against the encroaching darkness. With every heartbeat, it grew, glistening rays bursting forth, illuminating the despairing faces around her. The dark figure screeched, a sound that cut through her like ice. This was no longer just a battle within her, it was a clash of wills, hers against an ancient malevolence. Look deeper, the shadows crooned, shifting, changing. Suddenly, they began unraveling the darkness within her, exposing hidden fears she thought long buried. It was her own face that stared back, now painted with doubt, washed in self-loathing. Not even you can escape this truth. Samantha felt a knot tighten in her stomach, the familiar grip of anxiety threatening to consume her. But then, she heard it, a soft whisper cutting through the chaos. You are not alone, you never were. The warmth from her mother surged, wrapping around her like a safety blanket, pushing back the creeping dread. With renewed purpose, she reached for the light. You're right, love is never alone. The brilliance expanded, illuminating even the darkest corners. The faces of despair splintered, dissolved into the ether, as unity strengthened their light. Fool! The shadows writhed, lashing out violently. I will return stronger than ever. The air crackled with tension, a palpable taste of fear and hope mingling in the atmosphere. Samantha's breath quickened. Could they hold together this fragile light? She could feel the ground beneath her shift, each tremor a reminder of the stakes, the risk of losing everything. With one final push, she summoned every ounce of love, channeling it through her very being. The light erupted outward, a shockwave that surged against the darkness, pushing it back, forcing it to shrink. The fear clawed harder, but she shouted through the turmoil, "We won't lose. We choose hope." But just as she believed they might emerge victorious, the darkness howled one last time. "You will pay for this resistance." The shadows lunged forward, swelling like a tidal wave, aiming to engulf them entirely. Samantha froze. The light flickered, dimming against the overwhelming force. Fear twisted deep in her gut as reality began to fracture. Would they truly be engulfed by this darkness? And then, she noticed something change among the shadows, a figure at the heart of it all. Something massive was shifting, and it wasn't just darkness what was lurking behind that twisted tide of shadows. What would Samantha uncover next in this clash of light and dark? Time was slipping away. Was there enough left to fight? The shadows roared with a primal fury, surging forward, thick and suffocating. Samantha stumbled back as the light sputtered. Each heartbeat felt heavier, a drum of impending doom. Panic clawed at her throat. "Mom, we need to retreat. We can't hold this." But her mother's grip remained steady, unwavering. "No. We must stand firm, Samantha. Remember what we fought for." The immense figure in the shadows shifted into something more defined, its true form materializing in the scattered light. It was grotesque, a mass of jagged edges and hollow eyes that absorbed the very light around it. "You dare to defy me?" It boomed, voice laden with malice, echoing like thunder through the chaos. Samantha felt it shake the very core of her being. In that moment, clarity struck her. This was not just a force of darkness, it was a manifestation of everything she feared. The doubts, the memories that haunted her, the sense of worthlessness. The truth hit her like a cold gust of wind. She was fighting herself. "Look! It's you!" she cried, pointing towards the shifting figure. "You're just a reflection of my worst fears." The creature snarled, its form flickering as anguish twisted through its expression. "You can't escape. I am your pain. I am the shame and the regret. I will consume you." "No!" Samantha shouted back, fists clenched tight. She could feel the love emanating from her core, intermingling with her memories. "You're wrong. I am not defined by my fears." Suddenly, a blinding surge coursed through her, igniting a fire deep within. "I am not alone," she screamed, voice rising above the cacophony. "You don't get to dictate who I am." Her bold declaration sent shockwaves through the darkness, momentarily freezing the relentless tides. She could feel her mother's energy fueling her resolve, their bond taut like a taut string ready to snap and propel them forward. "Yes. That's it. Focus on the love." Her mother's voice rang clear, guiding her through the chaos. With newfound determination, Samantha reached deeper into her heart, pulling forth every cherished moment, the sound of laughter, the warmth of familial embraces, the spirit of togetherness. Each connection became vibrant threads intertwining with the light, creating a shield against the ever-looming darkness. Yet, as the light intensified, shadows clawed back ferociously, seeking any crack to slip through. "Your memories won't save you. They are weak compared to my power." It lashed out in anger, sending sharp tendrils of darkness lancing towards her, aiming to cut her down. Samantha felt one slice through her arm, the coldness seeping into her veins like ice. She gasped, pain shocking her system. This darkness wasn't just phantoms, it was real, but then, so was her love. "Mom! We can't let it win." Desperation edged her voice as she staggered, trying to keep focused against the pain threatening to drown her. "Breathe, sweetheart. Remember who you are," her mother said softly, the warmth enveloping Samantha once more. As the shadows shrunk back momentarily, Samantha stood taller. "I remember I am resilient. I am worthy. I choose life." Each proclamation connected with the light, and it blasted forward, a wave of brilliance against the black tide, but just as victory seemed tangible, the figure shrieked, the sound piercing. You will regret this moment. I will tear you apart from within. In a heart-stopping shift, everything around them began to shake more violently. But now it felt different, more urgent. The ground cracked beneath her feet, the shadows swirling faster than before, as if realizing the threat against them. Every second counted. How far could they push back the darkness? What would it take to rise above this consuming dread and finally confront the monster inside? As uncertainty loomed, something deep within Samantha whispered a question that echoed louder than any fear: what if the only way out is through? The trembling shadows loomed like a tempest, swirling with anger and pain, pulling Samantha deeper into its churning depths. But just as doubt threatened to crush her, the warmth of her mother's spirit surged alongside her, a guiding light piercing the gloom. Fight with me. Her mother urged, conviction flooding her voice. Together, we're a force of love that even the darkest night cannot snuff out. Focus on that bond. Samantha inhaled sharply, steadying her resolve. She grasped for memories, each cherished moment echoing like a call to arms. Breathe, she thought, letting the power of those memories swell within her. A childhood laughter, sunny days spent together, whispered secrets exchanged beneath cozy blankets. Each recollection sparked her inner flame, fueling her growing radiance. I am not afraid. Samantha bellowed, emboldened by her mother's presence. I refuse to be shackled by your lies. You do not define me. The swirling darkness hesitated, pulsing ominously, towering over them like a storm cloud unwilling to dissipate. In this moment, vulnerability turned to strength. I am more than my fears. She shouted again, locking eyes with the monstrous figure that reflected her insecurities. You dare. It shrieked, its voice tinged with both rage and fear, and in that, she saw her opportunity. Yes, I dare. She declared fiercely. I dare to choose hope. I dare to embrace love. You might torment me, but I will shine, and I will fight. As she spoke, a blaze erupted from her heart, illuminating the oppressive gloom around her. The light surged, an indomitable force. Shadows recoiled, flickering as if the very essence of darkness could feel its power waning. For every ounce of despair they thrusted forth, she countered with an even greater wave of love, washing over the void and exposing its fragility. Stay with me, Mom. Samantha yelled, reaching for the silhouette of her mother that wavered like a warm summer breeze through the gathering storm. I'm here, sweet pea. Always. Her mother echoed, strengthening Samantha's resolve. She felt the flickering connection between them solidify, a radiant tether binding their hearts through every ounce of despair that had tried to swallow them whole. They weren't just fighting for themselves anymore, they were fighting for every last soul trapped in shadows. Let them go. Samantha roared, propelled by a fierce determination. The shrinking darkness around them flickered, now hesitant, palpable fear coursing through it as it felt the strength of their combined love, but the darkness lashed back in one furious attempt to tear apart their link, unleashing tendrils that snaked towards them with ruthless claws. Samantha felt a sharp pain claw into her wrist, chilling her warmth. Weakness threatened to pull her down, but she gritted her teeth, anchoring herself in the memories of all those she loved. We are not alone. She cried, her voice echoing defiantly against the walls of despair. We are stronger together, and we want to let you take our light. Her spirit resonated deeply, bursting to life at her command, summoning other lost souls entwined in darkness. They materialized, flickering into the light, filled with hope as if finally realizing they weren't forgotten. Each joining their energy fueled a wave of shimmering brilliance that swirled through the chaos, distorting the darkness away. No. The dark entity shrieked, its form wavering in the blinding light. This can't be. Samantha raised her hands together with her mother, uniting them as a force of love shimmering outward, and every fear, every doubt, began to unravel. The shadows howled in protest, but she simply refocused, Every pulse of her heart sent ripples of light through the assembled souls. Together. We are love. We will not cower. She voltied, seizing the light growing within the depths of her soul. She summoned one last surge coming from not only her own strength but everyone they held dear in their hearts. With a final push, they hurled the blazing energy forward. The shadows shrieked as the radiant light smashed through, enveloping everything in a crescendo of love that filled the air with warmth and laughter, breaking apart the chains of darkness that had bound them for so long, and then, all at once, it shattered. The shadows dissipated under the weight of their unified hope, dissolving back into the abyss from which they came. Silence reignited the space where torment had resided, a stillness laden with the promise of peace. Samantha collapsed to her knees, panting, feeling her mother's presence wrap around her like a warm embrace. Tears streamed down her cheeks, heavy with relief and the weight of all that had been lost and won. "Mom, are you still here?" she gasped, looking around. "I'm right here, darling." Her mother's gentle tone eased her, calming the frantic anxiety still fluttering in her chest. "Now we can walk forward together." Samantha smiled through her tears, warmth blooming in her heart. Though the burden of the past weighed heavily, they had triumphed. As the golden rays of dawn peeked through the window, illuminating the remnants of the night's fears, Samantha found strength in this new beginning. Holding on to love, she knew together they were ready to face whatever came next with hope ignited deep within, and as the shadows melted away, they took with them every source of darkness that had ever haunted her. She was free. They were free. With a final look at the brighter world ahead, she whispered softly, "Let us go find the light, that's it." If you enjoyed this intense journey, now is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now, it really helps our community grow. We want to hear from you, so flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this gripping finale. You need to subscribe now. Show your love for these epic tales.